It's a series of webinars that we've been having since the whole of July. It's been a partnership with Kingdom Bank, and this is just touching around saving, financial literacy, and how we can work together in terms of getting ourselves to a better place. My name is Amakove, and you're very much welcome to this last series of the webinar for July. I have my guest who's on the road, so she's going to dial in very soon. But just a recap for those who have not been with us before. We had the first event that was the first webinar that was looking at money saving skills. So Elizabeth Nkukuu, who is a CFA and CPAK, took us through how can we save money, so budgeting cycle, and how do we ensure that we have something left over, basically paying ourselves first. And then the second webinar covered tips and information around how to invest money. So there's a big difference between saving money and investing. Saving just means that you're cutting down on you're managing your money within a certain limit. You're also tracking where it's going, and controlling and basically putting in measures to ensure that you don't spend when you do not need to spend. Investing, on the other hand, is that after you've done the saving, where do you take the money? So we had very many options. So one that were being determined on liquidity. So how soon do you need to get your money back? That are determined by time span, and that were also determined on the risk appetite. So we had a lot about government bonds, we had about shares in companies, we had about investing in bank accounts, fixed deposit accounts like the one that Kingdom Bank has. And we had also about assets like land and real estate. So those are some of the examples of investments that we discussed and covered in the last time. Then the third one was on debt management, and that was last week. So with debt management, we covered topics about good and bad debt. So can you have good debt, and when does it become bad debt? When does debt become bad? We also learned about how can we consolidate our debts. How do we prioritize which debts to clear, and how do we also get ourselves out of the debt cycle? And so all these are topics that have been uploaded on my YouTube channel. You just check Amakove, and also have been shared on your emails for all those who registered. I think after every webinar, we've been covering that. So today, which is our last session, Elizabeth is going to take us through how to make an extra income. So money-making skills, and you're free to use the chat button for those of you who are on the webinar. I'll also try to see, so today I discovered how to share this on Facebook Live. So I'll also, in the meantime, juggle with my phone and see whether there are any comments on the Facebook Live. But this is a webinar that's being recorded, and it will be availed to everyone through the channels that I've spoken about. So when you talk about extra income, maybe I'll give you my experience. So I'm a medical doctor by training and have a master's in infectious diseases. I've worked in so many sectors in the health space, and many of them at the C-suite level, meaning that I've been getting a decent income for the most part of my career, and also just enjoying the different phases of my life in terms of career progression. But within that space, I have also enjoyed some of the passions that I've been having right from when I was much younger. One of them is travel. Another one is writing about my lifestyle, writing about things that I go through. So these are things that I do out of passion. And I remember there's a time that I was out of a job. I lost a very well-paying job and had to, think of other ways of covering my costs. That time I already had a family. And so I looked at what are the options that I have, apart from, of course, applying for formal jobs. So that was a period of around 4 months in 2013, 2014, thereabouts. And one of the things that I enjoy doing is farming, because I grew up in a farm. And I did attend one of the Agricultural Society of Kenya's shows. And within that, I got to learn about rabbit farming. And when I visited one of the stalls, I got to hear that government actually does, at that time, it was doing free training for rabbit farmers. So I enrolled into one of the trainings in Gong area. It was a 3-day training where, you're immersed into the husbandry. So it's actually called rabbit husbandry, the certificate, once you get it. And with that, I had a little bit of saving. I put up, the structures that were necessary for rearing rabbits, and hired someone, and that person also attended the training with me. And that's how I got into rabbit farming. And from the rabbit farming, I started earning a decent income where, I'd sell to my friends who also enjoy eating rabbit meat. So that's how I got into farming. And I'm still doing that, but to a smaller scale at the time. The other thing that I discovered was because I love writing, and I got to see that, people would follow or would read about the things that I enjoy writing about. And this is now someone who pointed out to me and said, what, could you post this on your timeline and talk about my business? And because I would share the kind of purchases I'd make along my lifestyle. And so that's how I started doing a bit of marketing also on my timeline using the Facebook platform. And last but not least, or rather one of the other things that I enjoy doing is traveling. And it is during the COVID period that I thought, okay, why not form a community on Facebook where people could come together and share about their travels. And this is how the Wanderlust Diary started. So in summary, I think many of the things that I've been doing on the side have been born from a lot of the things that I enjoy doing. And some of the coaching, one of the coaches that I had in my career had told me, that's Sarah Richson, let me give a shout out to her. She told me, Liz, you're going to die passionately poor. And that's because she saw that I do quite a number of things as a passion, and I was not turning that into profit. So I learned how to, one, brand myself in terms of packaging, the kind of person that I want to be seen as, because that was part of the profit-making space. But the other thing I learned to do was also ask to be paid for the things that I did for people. So I think with that, I have over time learned the do's and don'ts, and basically fine-tuned some of the approaches. And currently, again, I decided to take another stab at self-employment and to see how to grow some of these passions into bigger spaces. And I am currently enjoying that space. So I think this period of time has seen us really in a space where we have job cuts, we have cost of living has really gone up. We have extra expenses for those of us who are parents. The older your children get, the higher the school fees that you need to pay. Some of us are taking care of our relatives. And so you always want to see how can you make an extra buck on the side. But also, because we've spoken about savings, you can't save something that you don't have, or rather investing, you can't invest something that you do not have. So today's topic would be about that. And as I still wait for Elizabeth to dial in, I would just tell you that there's a chat button there. There's a Q&A section. Feel free to ask any question that, and you're also free to raise your hand. I am able to unmute on my end if you need to contribute to anything that any of our members would have talked about. So that is one of the things. And so how do you make an extra income, especially if you are employed? So I'll tackle the employment bit because I've been in that space where I'm fully employed and also doing something on the side. I think it's a Kenyan thing. I think I only know one of my friends who doesn't have any side hustle and she's fully dedicated to her employer. So a disclaimer here is that please understand, if you're fully employed, understand your employee HR manual. There are things that as a company, many of these organizations forbid you to engage in. There are times where you're required to clock in your hours. So of course, all this is put with that disclaimer that you need to be basically give to Caesar what's due to Caesar. And that means that you give whatever time and resources that you're required to do for your work. So in case you have extra time, and that's usually weekends, at night, or whatever other time during your leave, then these are some of the things that you can consider. The first thing that I usually say when you're considering a side hustle is around time. And time here means that, sorry, there's someone who's raised their hand, so let me just see whether it's my speaker. Yep, it's my speaker. So one of the things that I usually say as Liz is joining us as a speaker is time. So with time, you're looking at how much of your own time will be required towards putting in this extra hustle that you're looking at. So if it's something that really requires you to be physically present, for example, excuse me, if you are required to travel to deliver something, maybe it is to meet a client, or maybe it's to deliver goods, then you need to consider that over, again, your current employment. The other thing that you need to consider is the amount of resources required. Are you able to delegate some functions? So if you're able to delegate, then it's all well and good. But if it requires you to be physically present, maybe it's a service industry and it's a salon you've opened, and you are the one who's using your own hands, or you're a barber, you have to use your own hands to cut to shave a client's hair, then that would require, it's very hard to delegate that because the talent is within you. So it's very hard to delegate that. Or if you open a shop and you have to go and keep on checking the balances, the stocks, then that is something that would require you to have a lot of flexibility on the employment side for you to cover. But there are things that are passive and there are things that are around active income. And I think I will allow Liz to come in at this point and take us through that. Liz, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, Daktari. So I'll be in the dark.
Hello.
So I will. Hello.
Just a moment. Hello.
Hi. You can hear me now?
Yes, my microphone was off. Was I on all this time?
Yes, you are on. Actually, yeah, from the word go, you okay?
Okay, good. So go ahead, Liz.
So thank you again for the opportunity. And I think we start from where you've stopped the types of income, which is the passive and the active. I think when you think about investments, that's where the passive incomes comes in. We tackled that, whereby you are making your money work for you. Then you go to the second part, whereby now it's the active income, whereby you're selling your time, or you're using your time to make a living. And I think most of the time that is where we all start, whereby you are quote unquote selling your blood and tears and everything so that you can earn a living. So we go to school because that's what we are accustomed to. We want to a white collar job. So the question is, how do we increase the amount of income from that end? So it's making yourself a better person. And how do you do that? Making sure that at least you have the right papers, you have the right skills. And I always say that, at least for me, one thing that has at least worked for me is being truly in the room. What is this that is so important that will put you in the room? Because if you're not inside the room where decisions are being made, then you will never find yourself there. So if you want to be a finance person, what is it that will make people listen to you? If you're an investment person, what is that paper that will make people listen to you? That is very important. If you are a hairdresser, what sets you apart? Why will people come and ask you a question? So and one of the things that I wish I had learned earlier in my career was, no one will speak for you. You have to speak for yourself. So in as much as you have the papers, how are people connected, and do people know that you exist and that they can count on what you can do? So that is very important. So never, especially for us ladies, most of the times we shy out of telling our successes. So I think it's a high time that we change and say, yes, I have invested time, I have done this, but let people know that I'm also here, and I can be the best person that I am. So that is very important as you're increasing your income and also as you're growing into your career. Then the other thing, when it comes to career, there is this article I had read about sponsors. It is career sponsors and mentors. It is very important that if you're going through your career, get the right sponsor, not only a mentor or a coach, but someone who will speak for you, who is intertwined with your success. Not in terms of how they put it. They would like you to succeed no matter what. So I think I've also been one of those very lucky people whereby at least from the word go, I think my first boss is the one who kept pushing me and telling me, no, I can see potential in you. So who is speaking for you when you're not in the room? So that is also very important. And again, I think it's things that also as ladies maybe take when you're there, when maybe you're given an opportunity, you undersell yourself. So it's always good to make sure that you get the courage for you to be able to earn as much as you can, because that is where you're spending most of your time. So now we go to the active income, and active income now in form of maybe businesses. So what businesses do you want to get into and why? I like the fact that Liz, you have talked about your journey, which has been aligned to your passion and things that you care for. Many a times we get into business because we have been told that is the best way to make money. I keep giving my example of I got into quilt business. I took 200,000, I was constructing, and then my neighbor told me that, you know what, this construction that I'm doing is because I'm doing quilts, and it's really a lot of money, and that is the only business I do. So I like giving that example because it is a clear example of how best to lose money, because I have no idea what quilts are, and I didn't get into a class to understand, but it's just because someone else told me they were doing it, I jumped into it. And when you think about it, we get into so many of those. I think there are many questions that we see on Facebook that people say, what business can I invest in that will get me 10,000 a month, or what business can I start with 10,000? So that is a sure way to get into a business that for sure you'd have no passion about. It's like now maybe me being told to do something about beauty. It doesn't come to me naturally, no matter how much people are making. So you need to, when you're getting into monetization of your time and even the side hustle, do things that even if they didn't make money, you would still do them. So for me, one of the things that I'm realizing is that, yes, I will make money training and teaching people, but even if I'm not paid, I will still do it. Why is that so? Because I like the fact that you can change someone's life by giving them not money, but something they can use, which has not costed you anything. So I think when it comes to activating your passion, it is always good to do things that you really, really care for. So that even if it didn't cost money, even if it didn't give you an income, you'll still do them. And if you're going to charge such that people know that, you know what, they are going to get the best service from what you are offering. So if again, you came to maybe Zurich Consulting, you come, maybe it's a group of chama, we will charge you and charge you nicely. However, if you want to not be able to have an accountability partner, we will still give you the information. So when it comes to managing or monetization of the time that you have and the passion that you have, one is do what you do the things that you like. Then number two, how much time do you have? So if you're full-time employed and you want to maybe run a matatu business, it is a sure way again of losing your money, because these people, the people that you're employing, have more time and they maybe understand the business better than you. So how much time do you have? Then also get into a business that is scalable. So as you start into this business, if you have to be the person who is going to deliver the service in person, then just be comfortable that the amount of revenue you're going to get might not be as much. So if you're looking at being a significant entrepreneur, ask yourself about how can I scale this? And the way you can scale something, it has to be something that is replicatable. You can document it and say, this is how you make, maybe let me just use your hair, Liz. This is how you make sister lock. As you use and how can I document it? How can I scale this? So for as long as it's you alone being able to do that, it might, then it has its own limitations. But if you're looking at scaling this to a point where you want to get that party capital, then you have to do something that is scalable. So, and the way to do that is standardize the service so that it becomes a commodity. How do you commoditize what you are offering? So those are some of the things that I can talk about when it comes to actively managing your business. Then the other thing when it comes to businesses, also, you are not a master of everything. So accept what you're good at. Ask for help from other people who are good at something. I'll give again an example of myself. I'm not a very, quote unquote, a very organized person. So many a times I double book meetings and all those. And so what I've realized is I need support. I need to accept that doesn't come to me naturally. So I need a support system. And the support system could be in form of maybe a PA, or it could be just a framework whereby I will wake up in the morning.
Hello?
Sorry, are you helping yourself? And also joining good networks, because entrepreneurship is lonely and it's difficult. So you need a place where you go get refilled. When you think about the SME Founders Association that is run by Frida, it's a good place to go, because you will realize that you get help. If you think about maybe a sandbox, you get a lot of solutions within the framework. And then you also accept to be vulnerable, and in such spaces, say what is it that help you need, because they will always be able to help you. So I think when I think about monetization of your whatever of your passion and the side hustle, you are not a hero at everything. So accept your vulnerabilities and accept to be assisted, because that is the only way you grow. And also when you decide to fail, when you trying something, accept when it has failed, so that you can recollect and also restart. Because the moment you keep pushing it on, it's not only draining on you mentally, it's also draining you financially, and also the relationships become strained. So always good to know when to stop and when to start something different. Yeah. Back to you, Dr. Maybe you can take questions.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much. So to just recap what you've talked about, one is you don't always have to have a business. If you're employed, you are able to look at how can I get myself to a job group or a job scale that pays better. And that is by developing yourself, taking an extra course, positioning yourself, volunteering for assignments within the workplace. and you're able to packaging yourself in a way in which, you are aligned or directed towards a promotion, because that means we say that it's about making extra money. We didn't say it's about businesses. So try and see that within the employment space that you are able to either shift careers into a different space, or within that organization to get into a better place. She's also spoken about passive income. So we did touch on that, where you earn money while you sleep. So that's by investing in shares, government bonds, on real estate, things that really do not require your physical presence or your energy to run. And then now she delved a lot into the active income section, where it is about businesses. And as she spoke, I resonated with quite a number of the things. I don't think there's any. I've dabbled in. I'm the type of person to try anything, and I think I've dabbled in so many things. I've grown and sold onions. I have kept the rabbits, as you see, and one day 200 of them all died from Newcastle disease. I have basically I've dabbled in a lot, and recently my I had to fold up a business that was a Coven Cottage because of what she has mentioned, where it was taking more money than bringing in. And it does feel bad to try and stop. In fact, they say I think the statistics is 70% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. So your chances of a business failing is higher than your chances of a business succeeding, but that doesn't mean that you stop at that. Thank you so much, Liz. So we have a comment from Andrew. As I'd mentioned, those who are on the webinar, you can use the Q&A section to either comment or to ask a question. And I'll also peep into the live Facebook section. So Andrew is talking about how he has found a solution in terms of organizing his time. So he said he's used David Allen's Getting Things Done book to be very effective. So he uses it with the Google Calendar, and he's managed to put his entire life on his calendar. I do believe this because I have had a meeting with Andrew, and there's some work we are doing together. And it's true that Andrew has this awesome spreadsheet that's his calendar, and with each task he has put whether the task or the meeting or the event that he's supposed to attend is bringing him money. If it's bringing him money, he color codes it green. If it's not bringing him money, it has the other colors. That means that in terms of priorities, that's the activity that he will prioritize over others. I think that's and anything that he does, he's put it on his calendar, so he's able to manage his time. I think maybe Liz, you might want to cover time wasting things, because I believe that is it's something that really eats into things that would be instead making money. So what are these habits that we need to curtail so that we turn that energy and that time and those resources into money-making skills? But we have a comment from Jocelyn, who's talking about her baking passion, how she turned it into a business. She did a marketing strategy by doing cake testing for her relative and friends, and she said it paid off. And she just an hour before joining this webinar, she was decorating a cake, and she's finished. And she says she does as many side hustles as Amakove. Sometimes her friends ask her if she has 48 hours. She's a jack of all trades. If you ask her for anything, she'll deliver. As long as it's something legal and it brings her money, she'll do it. So I think I would maybe it's at this point I'd like to talk about personalities. And I found it. I find that as Jocelyn has mentioned, so I get asked how many hours do you have in a day, and it's I think there's a very strong personality influence. So there are those of us who are able to juggle very many balls in the air easily. So the problem with that is that we are, at least for me, I get bored. So I get bored very easily. So I have to put, for resilience, I really have to push myself, because once it stops being shiny, it stops being exciting, where the hard work is coming in, where you have to start doing the accounting, where you have to do reports to a donor, then I really, really get dragged down. So I have to be very conscious of the kind of things I accept to do, and also push myself to ensure that I complete them. The other thing that I've learned to do is to say no, because it's not everything that makes money that I need to take up, because we easily get burnout. So I don't know, Liz, you want to speak into the time wasters? Because I see quite a number of people when they ask me, okay, how come you have, I mean, guys are online, but the kind of things they're doing online is not something that is making the money. It's about following the latest gossip, the latest politics, trolling, negative things. Yet digital tools have given us opportunity to make money from that. So maybe speak about time wasters.
Okay, when it comes to time wasting, I'm not sure I'm the best person to talk about it authoritatively, but let me give it a stab. And for me, let me talk about the bit of ability to say, not to say no. Because I feel like if you have this personality of you want to help, or you always helping people, you end up wasting a lot of time, because you'll meet people, then you're like, I'm sure this one is wasting my time. However, nitamwambia aje hapana. So for me, the biggest time wasting thing is the so-called quote unquote networking, because you'll find yourself that you're meeting, but there is no agenda. You don't know what is the expected outcome. You have no business that you are working on together. So for me, that is one of the biggest one. And it's also draining, because if you have the personality of nicey, giving people whatever, you end up also not only wasting time, but also wasting money. Because you want to finish these things, like, acha nilipe bill, tuone kama tutamaliza hii meeting. So that is one of the biggest challenge I see. If you are people pleaser, it is one of the biggest problem when it comes to that. Then the other thing is not being sure of yourself. So at times you're not pricing yourself the best way possible, because you're like, what will people think, or what will people say? And if, for example, you tried something and didn't work, you instead of seeing the other people as being the problem, you see yourself as the problem. So what you end up doing is like, okay, fine, why should I even sell these things at this price? So not only are you spending time on not making money, but you're also now beating yourself down. So if we can spend more time assuring ourselves and telling ourselves, you know what, I believe in what I am giving, it would help in terms of even commanding a better pay. And then the other thing is I think is just to learn from Andrew, just really put yourself and do something. Many a times you find yourself, you're just not achieving anything, but the moment you sit down for 2 hours, it's just amazing what you can do in 2 hours. If you just focused and said, I don't have my phone around me, I'm just sitting down. And I like giving an example of writing. If you sat and wrote something, maybe you're committed to writing something. Let me say, like an example, when I was doing my book, the Drive book, every time I would wake up in the morning and then I have 30 minutes or 45 minutes of writing, it is just amazing what you can end up achieving. But it was a season that I really wanted to write. But now when it comes to doing the second book, it's, again, you find yourself not really being composed. So time wasting comes with maybe the season and things that you're going through, but you need to be aware and say, be sure that this is a season, and you must be sure that you're going to bring to an end to this season. So being very self-aware is very important, so that you can avoid the time wasting bit of it. When it comes to maybe things like social media, again, I think it's one of the biggest way these days we are passing time. So I think we cannot not be Dr. Wala where we are able to monetize it, but also ask yourself, are there positive things that you can read? Because yes, you could be online, but what value are you adding? Yeah, so those are the things that I could really think about. And then I think for people in consultancy, the other thing is giving too much for too little. And I think the best person I have learned about for people who are in consultancy has been James Karundu. I think if anyone has interacted with him, he's very timely. So he starts on time, ends on time, and you have to book your time. You come, you finish. And you'll cover a lot within that 1 hour that he has allocated you. So I think also just being very structured, like what Andrew said, also helps so that you know what. Yes, I will do some things which I will waste time, and even scheduling time to waste. I think that is also good. Just know that, you know what, I'm going to meet Liz. There's no business agenda. We are just goofing, and it's okay. Yeah. So back to you, Doctor.
I wouldn't call it time to waste, but more of time to relax, time to unplug. It's really healthy.
Yes.
So we have comments from the Facebook side. So Anne is asking whether there are references. You can share the references that you've mentioned, so we'll do that. Mercy is talking about, from a marketer's opinion, they say that you get into a business that the industry is growing. So when you're trying to identify the opportunity, ensure that it is something that has some traction within the sector. For example, if you're in the climate change space right now, everyone is putting money in the climate change space. So that is something that you look for a problem first, and then you find a solution and that you can take to the market. Anthony is my vet. He's saying Newcastle doesn't affect rabbits. Oh my goodness, Anthony. But they all died, so I don't know what disease it is. There was a virus that killed them. And then we have, from this other side, I'll go and talk about, Diana talks about the distance between an idea and actualizing it. She thinks that many of us are never short of ideas, but the problem comes with executing them. I don't know if you have a comment on that. And then there's someone also who's asking, can they create good wealth from bills and bonds and shares? They're an introvert, so they can't seem to figure a side hustle idea. They want to settle on bonds, bills, and shares. They want to go into the passive income. By the way, not all of us can be businessmen. So someone has to be employed, someone has to be the researcher, someone has to be, so we all have our different strengths. So do not feel at all pressurized into getting into a business. So Liz, please comment on the two things: how to move from idea into self-actualization. And the second one is, I think, how emphasizing on the passive income bit. Thank you.
So I think the one on moving from idea to maybe a project or something, the biggest problem is, first of all, understanding what is holding you back. And what mostly holds us back is two things: fear of failure, and if we are perfectionists, we want to make sure that I think they come together. I want to make sure that if I take a stab at this business, it is for sure going to work. So what happens? I realize that I did not analyze one thing. So I analyze that one today. Then when I'm done with that one, again, I want to bring another scenario. So I think what we want to hold ourselves to standards that are not realistic, as opposed to figuring it out as you go. There is this thing that I always go by: implement the sketch. Things will fall in place. If, for example, you wanted to get everything together, you will never start. And let me go back to writing a book. If you think about writing a book and you want to have a 200 pages book, if you start thinking of how many pages those are, you will not start. But if you do the first one and do the second one and do the third one, you will realize that you are moving. And nothing nothing helps you with the execution more than celebrating the successes that you have had. So just making sure that you start, celebrate the little that you have achieved, and then you progress. Ideas are there, many. However, the question is, are you ready to throw yourself all in when it comes to executing? And then it's okay to fail. And always there is this thing of failing fast. Make sure that you're executing so that you fail fast and you just learn and say, you know what, at least that one I know it can't work. So on the second question on whether you can use passive income to grow wealth, the answer is yes. The only thing is you also need to spend a lot of time analyzing and researching. So let's say, for example, you are talking about investing in shares. Which companies are you investing? How do you select? Because if your work is to select shares based on hearsay, for sure you'll always be buying the stocks that are not doing well. So the answer is there is no easy bullet. You have to put in the time for wealth creation. That is what, when you think about Warren Buffett, what they say is you have to invest in a company that even if the stock market shut, you'll still be happy that you're a shareholder. So you can grow wealth, but there's no shortcut to hard work. You must put in the work. So the question is, how do you put in the work, and where do you source for the data, and who are you working the journey with?
A powerful statement that passive income is not a lazy, quote unquote, a lazy way of earning money, but you still need to put in the work and understand. And you can also lose in passive income. I have a question from Aliyah from Facebook. Aliyah is asking, what's a good side hustle for an artist and a creative person? And then the other two are comments. We have Karen talking about she has been slow on juggling multiple hustles because she keeps on thinking that maybe she'll stifle one. She's in the entrepreneurship space, but she has a huge passion for cooking good food and organizing events, but she's doing them low-key, and she thinks maybe it's time to step up and come out, just as she does with her main hustle. So that's a comment. And Jocelyn has also put a comment about risk takers are the ones that do so many businesses. So maybe answer Aliyah. Aliyah is talking about, what are the options for a creative person or an artist in terms of businesses? And then Karen just needs that one little push to give her permission to go big on the other hustles that she does. Thank you.
I don't want to answer the one on the artist. Reason being, you have to. I will just give back to what Liz you said. You are passionate about travel. That is why you did Wanderlust, and that is why whether you're doing it, you'll make money in the process. But even if you didn't, you'll still do it. So the artist, what is it that you do, and how can you make money out of it? And I think with the internet, there are very many ways to discover what you can do. But the question is, as you do that, are you pricing it at the right price? So do what you do, make sure that it's the very best, but price it well for your own sake. And I think there are a couple of classes that people do for just to understand where to price their commodities. So generate, but make sure that you're getting the very best. So I think the one on the side hustle, you see, if you're doing it, you have time to do it in low scale or in low level. It means that you can do it. You have the time. So the question is, you just need Dr. Wala to put it on her Facebook, and people come knocking, and you get people coming to ask you for it. And for sure, if you've been doing it, means that you're doing it well. So my view is that just try. What is the worst that can happen? It doesn't work out and you're back to where you are. So it's just trying, fail. If you're failing, pass. If you're passing, and you won't actually fail, you'll just learn how to improve and get better in most cases.
Yeah, Liz, you forgot to tell her to invest in a marketing budget because
yeah, nothing comes for free.
Yeah. So I want to maybe try to attempt at the creative space because because digital content creation, which is one of the things that I do as a source of income, is a creative space. And I say so because my style of approach will not be the same as someone else's style of approach. How I'd price myself will be different from someone else. So it's not like accounting where, or lawyers who say maybe these, or even doctors, you have a prescribed professional fee band. That's where you play around. So for the creative artist, I think the biggest gap that I see is one, our market thinks being a creative is, it is not something that is worth paying top dollar for, which is a very unfortunate situation. But we're seeing a lot of turnaround around that, where we've seen organizations that are really building up the creative artist space. The other thing is, I think creatives do not know how to really package themselves well. So for example, if I ask, I need a band. So I need a music band for one of my shows. And I ask on my timeline, you'd find that people will give you, let's say, names. And then when you ask someone, they really don't have a profile. What's this? Like a price list or a catalog where they say, if your event is this many number of people, then this is what we charge. If you need us to have 3 vocalists and 4 instrumentalists, this is what we charge. So there's a way in which the musical band has packaged itself, and this is a catalog that is even available on their pages. I find that many people go by, okay, you've really pushed me, but I'll just take the job. So I think I see that happening a lot. And also because maybe times are hard or the competition is stiff, you find people really underselling themselves just because they want to get something in the pocket. And with that, then the standards of pricing in the market really adjust towards the undercutting and undervaluing themselves. I know of someone the other day. I was interviewing for a stylist. I think some of you saw my advert out there. And with that, I remember and we held a proper interview process, shortlisted like 4 of them. And one of them said that they're able to turn down a job if it doesn't meet their value system. So for example, this person prefers shows or work where his work is speaking to, or her work is speaking to a joyful occasion. And so at some point they were working with one of the clients, and the client's visibility space was really something that was really emotionally dragging down. Yeah. And this person felt it wasn't speaking to his style of what he wants his work to speak to. And he actually went to the client and said, I'm not doing this job anymore. And that's because of this and that and that. I think that speaks to someone who's really matured in the industry. So I would say for the artists, maybe identify a mentor around your space. If you're a creative in terms of digital content creation, or if you're a visual artist or whatever else you do, identify someone who's in that space, or a group of people who are in that space, and then see what is the market within them. Where are they pricing themselves at? Are you at the beginner's level? Do you feel you've done 10 years or 5 years? And so as such, without batting an eyelid, you're able to price yourself. And I'm telling you, there'll be people who will appreciate your creativity and who will pay you for the value that you work. So it's easy to go for a lower amount just because you need a job. But I think over time, if you create a consistency of this is my work, this is my standard, this is why I price myself. I'm not able to say because I have a degree from Harvard in terms of drawing, I'm going to price myself at this time, at this point. You are able to create your own brand. You're able to create your own brand. And I think it reminds me of my rate card that I released, and the guys were really all over the place around the pricing. But I said, I have built my brand over years. This is like 10 years of Facebook conversation. So I'm very confident about the kind of digital content creation I'll be bringing to the table. And since I'm not very desperate for that work, I will wait for the people who have the money and feel that the value that I bring is worth their while. They'll come, and they've been coming. So I think we need to, it's a thin balance. When you're struggling and you're starting, you might, take things as they come, but I think you need to learn to value yourself and also talk to experts like, say, Liz is a financial expert. They're able to look at, okay, if you give this amount of time and this value, are you getting back what you've put in? So there are some of those calculations that would require those experts. We have a comment from Susie from Facebook who's saying that the biggest challenge of these money-making skills is that for those who already have money and are looking to increase their income, is it for those who already have money, so this kind of skills that you're talking about, and are looking to increase their income, or for those who have just enough money to spend? She thinks that access to financing is more critical than spreading oneself thin in the name of hustling. So would you comment on that? So she's talking about, look, there's this situation where there are those who already have enough money and they're just looking to increase, and there are those who have barely enough. Would you give them more skills on better financing to grow whatever they have? Or would you go for them looking for how many other options in terms of increasing income? So I don't know whether you've gotten that.
I think I did. So we are all different, and our opportunities and our aspirations are very different. So wealth creation, like medicine, when you go to see your doctor, it's a very personal choice. When you say someone has enough money, let me give an example. Does Elon Musk stop working because he has enough money? He's the richest person in the world or something like that? The answer is no. He's propelled by success. So you need to have a reason for what you do so that you keep doing it and you're making a difference. So if you look at people who already have money, they want more because they're seeking to push the boundaries. So if you're contented with where you are, it means that you're not growing. So wealth creation and growth comes hand in hand. So if you don't have money, the thing is, start looking for money. And the skills I think we are discussing today is about wherever you are in your career or your wealth creation journey. So when you think about out of a job and I need to make ends meet, it does not matter more how much I'd saved before. I need to look for a job. I need to make sure that I'm earning something. So at that particular point, you look at, if the job applications are not coming over, I still have 24 hours. What can I do today to earn an extra shilling? So, and as you do what you're doing, the rest opens up. So my view is the skills that we are teaching today, it is irrespective of where you are in your wealth creation journey. And there is something that you can always do for you to become better. And it starts with working on your mindset and accepting, you know what, I have an abundance mindset. And there are people who train minds, and I'm not one of those very strong people on mindset. I believe in work. Some of us maybe are just born donkeys, but there are those people who teach you how to think abundance. And once you approach life in abundance sort of life, then you will be able to see opportunities and opportunities. Yes, will it be always straight? The answer is no. You'll start some businesses, they will fail. You'll invest in a share, it just collapses the next day like it was just waiting for you. Then you will also invest in government securities, whereby you need, now something happens and you need to sell it. So things will not be straight, but the question is, what learnings are you taking along the way? And then the other thing is, do not copy paste. I will be maybe on Facebook, but I cannot say the things that Terry says. It is not me. So the thing you need to understand is understand yourself and be comfortable in your skin. And then that way you end up growing step by step.
Yeah, I think, thank you so much for that. I am one who believes in not really the abundance way, but it's what you're consuming, what's going in, because that's what goes to your subconscious. So if you keep on consuming a lot of negative things, subconsciously you start accepting that those negatives are the reality. And so even when an opportunity presents itself, because you're in such a negative state that you're not able to see, okay, so Safaricom M-Pesa was down today. Is there something that I can do to give an alternative? I'm giving a very wild example, but the others would be, oh, Safaricom, the worst option and whatnot. And, so how do we see a challenge and turn it into an opportunity? And that turning into an opportunity cannot come from a mindset. You have to actually put in the work. So that is, I think, a mix of both. There's someone who's asking, how can they get a mentor? And whether I have mentees I work with. So I think in the beginning of this session, and it's being recorded, so it will be on my YouTube channel, we started with the networks. What networks are you in? So your peer networks. So if you're able to join SME, and there's so many SME organizations. So if you're able to identify one, please join, because it's through these networks that you get some of these exposures, you get free training. If you're not a groupie kind of thing, there's so many courses online. There's a lot of information. We are in an era where information is at our fingertips. You can do Coursera. Coursera has so many courses that you can take for free. You can do YouTube training. I know people who've trained themselves on, especially the handicraft skills, through YouTube, or who've trained themselves in public speaking, and they're earning money from, speaking engagements through YouTube. So it's about you identifying, this is what I want to do. This is where my skills are at. This is how I want to grow them. What are the channels? And the channels could be by peer networking. It could be by the digital platforms. It could be by one-on-one with a mentor that you've identified. So I think it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of approach. So we are coming to the end of our event. We try to keep time so that we respect people's time. So we've been hosting these events every Thursday of July between 8 and 9 p.m. And this has been in partnership with Kingdom Bank. Kingdom Bank, whenever you follow my profile, you'll keep on seeing a lot of what I mentioned, some of the products they have in terms of investments, in terms of trainings, in terms of opportunities. How do you save? How do you invest with them? Because fixed deposit accounts are part of the ways in which you can grow your money. So passive income, I think Liz has mentioned. Again, I want to really, really appreciate Liz. Liz has worked with us every single Thursday of this July. She has broken down things in a very, very simple format. I would want to appreciate everyone who's been joining these webinars, whether online, and today I discovered I can link my webinar to Facebook, so even my Facebook people, thank you so much for attending. I do hope that you will plug into more conversations. I think I want to keep the ball rolling. Liz is available for one-on-one consulting, so check out Zuri Consulting, ZURI Consulting. You'll get her contacts there, and also the people who've logged into the webinar, you'll get an automatic email tomorrow with the link, and also with her contacts, as well as Kingdom Bank. I really, really want to appreciate Kingdom Bank. They have made these webinars possible. They're all free and available for everyone, so you can go to the past recorded events or webinars that have been held. They're all uploaded. I will apologize for the quality. I'm not a guru in this digital thing, so if anyone is listening and they're good in mixing and matching these videos, please, I am happy to use your services to just make the next series much better. But I really, really want to appreciate Liz and everyone else. So without further ado, thank you so much. Feel free to reach out to me. My contact is amakove@amakove.com, as well as on Facebook. Just DM. We'll be collecting your feedback and we'll see how to shape the next series of conversations. It may not be on financial literacy, it may be on it may be on relationships, but we're going to keep it here. Thank you and do have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.